Hey guys, welcome back to our Texas Homestead. Today I'm going to teach you how to trim a brisket. We're going to do a brisket on a pellet grill for the first time and see how it turns out. Kind of walk you through that also. But this one is just on trimming a brisket. And this is not a small brisket, so it's going to be a lot of trimming to do and good ways to show you some things. Let me bring you in and I'll show you how to do it. All right. See, we have a full packer brisket. What I mean by packer, it's packed, okay? So it's a full brisket. You're getting the flat and the point. It's the best way to buy a brisket. If you buy just a flat, you're going to pay extra for it. If you buy just this points, you're going to pay extra for them. So let me open it up and show you how to trim. Your jars don't. No, they don't. Okay, this brisket is a monster brisket. It's 21.5 pounds. You can see it's got a lot of fat cap to it. This is the side that you're going to put down when you're cooking. This is going to be like your meat side. So you want to try to clean it up as well as possible. But when you're doing it, you don't want to scar the fat off of it to where it cuts into the meat. If you get a little bit, that's fine, but take your time, cut it right, you'll come out with a much better result. Now, a lot of your fat, it's what gives you flavor, especially on a brisket. A brisket is probably one of the toughest cuts of meat out there. And the fat that's on it helps you. So, some people do not trim at all. It's your choice on how you want to do it and how much you want to trim. If I didn't trim it, Patty wouldn't eat it. But what you are looking to get off of it is a lot of the big heavy fats. Okay? These big thick chunks of fat will not render down quick enough while you're cooking. And you'll get, like right here where I'm cutting, the fat is real tough. And that fat does not render well. This stuff here could, actually it will, but it's still better to trim some. Now here I cut off a slice of meat because I'm trying to get some of that silver skin without having to try to peel it. Peeling that silver skin is tough to do. Can be done. I just don't, it's not frozen enough for me to actually get a good hold of it and peel it. For me. You may be a whole lot better at it than I am. But as long as you're staying real thin with it, the key to that is a super sharp knife. Okay. This piece of fat here is going to run almost all the way through. So we're going to go ahead and flip it. This is actually a good chunk of meat, which I hate to cut out of it. But just nice, easy. You're not trying to cut big giant chunks of it out. So that way you get into all the meat. You don't want to do that. See, just a little bit, that's fine, that's perfect. The more you do them, the easier it is to figure out where your fat caps are, how much fat's going to be there, and how much you need to trim. This fat here is real tough, it's super tough. Okay? You can pull on this and it doesn't want to do anything compared to these where you can almost pull it off you by hand. I usually do not separate the points and the flats when I'm cooking them because I just want an even cook and I can get it all the way through. I use the point on my hot side of my pits to control the heat and be able to let this cook longer further away from the fire. Now if you're going to save the fat to render down later, if you want to make some some beef tallow, you can, but make sure there's no meat on it to do it. Virgil, Wyatt, come on, man. Some people like to square up their briskets to make them more uniformed. Now, if you're in a competition or something like that and you're doing that, yeah, I understand it. But if you're home cooks, no. Okay, see how thick this fat piece is here? You do want to take part of that off. Do you want to take all of it? No. Okay, because when you're cooking, you cook fat sat up for the fat to render down into the meat, so that way the meat gets all that juice. Helps keep it moist. And some people will take it, almost all the fat off of it completely. Which I don't get, to be honest with you. You figure I started out with a 21.5 pound brisket. By the time I'm done, it'll be down probably 19 pounds. So this is your super hard fat here. You will take some meat out with most of these, trying to get it. And as I was saying, it goes all the way through here. Man, that's tough. I do not trim as much as a lot of other people do because I want the flavor. But I'm trying to stay about probably not even a quarter inch above the meat. It's probably an eighth above the meat of a fat layer. So you hear them a little thick, but truly if I go into it, there's more meat right above this. It just looks like fat, but there's actually meat right here. And this flap, I'm still undetermined. I said right here, you got a ton of heavy fat. I said the super hard fats will not render. Not for a brisket. It'll render down if you're trying to make tallow, but not in the cooking time of a brisket. Not while it's trying to cook everything else. Now if you want, you can come in, square out. I don't at all. I think I've already said it, but making sure you know. Alright. This is the center section between your point and the starts of your flats. This center section is fatty. I kind of go in, kind of core it, I guess you'd say. And get that harder fat out of it. By getting this hard fat out, it'll also help with your cook. This knife I'm using bends very well. It's a boning knife. So I'm able to, I'll show you this core here in a second where I'm pulling all this fat out. Digging a hole to China. And I said this is the part that goes all the way through. You can see my blades all the way through the brisket. As I was saying earlier. But you can see how much fat I pulled out. And you see there's still some in there. But it's a whole lot better. And when you're cooking it, it all lays over it. You can actually help even add more seasoning into that area, and it'll help render down into it. But that's like one of the hard fat areas that go through your briskets. And you can feel in there with your hand how much you left or how much is still there. And see, it's just all hard fat. Now that I've got that little core out, I'm moving forward on the brisket towards the flat to remove a lot of the rest of it. Because it's actually not just a small core, it's a large area. Alright, now that I got that mainly trimmed out, I'm going to leave it without having to separate the cap and the flat, and then get ready to season this up. So let me get cleaned up, get some stuff moved, we'll go from there.